The reason why we call it the cathedral room is because it's massive, it's beautiful, and it has that arched ceiling above your head where it's naturally stabilized itself for millions of years, is what we believe. We know this was carved out by water. These rooms were full of water a long, long time ago. This was the first level of the cave carved out. So this is the oldest part of the cavern, but it was the last to be discovered. After this was carved out, it carved out our living room level, the second level, and then it carved out our basement, and it's still carving out the basement as we speak today. That's where the stream is. That's where all the water pumps out of the hillside at Blanchard Springs, 8,000 gallons a minute every single day. Never goes dry. You could fit 4 football fields inside this room, end to end. 4 football fields. It's over 1,200 feet long. Kind of makes a crescent shape so we can't see the other side right now, but here in a little bit we will be. At its tallest point, it's 70 feet tall, right here in the middle of the room, 70 feet tall. So you could fit a 7-story building right there. This is massive and beautiful. Now we're going to go down to a set of bleachers. Do me a favor, sit on the first 5 rows. Either side, the first 5 will be the dry. So if you go past the 5th, make sure you slide around and dry it off for everybody else, okay? Those will be your dry ones. First row? First row. Yeah, y'all can take the first row if you want. So first 5 either side. Still stood all the way to the end, please, so people can join you on the row.
Thank you.
Yeah, we gotta let your eyes adjust first. While this little is on. I'm gonna be turning on some big bright lights too. Calcite crystal, this right here. So what happens, any rain, water, snow, or ice melt makes its way through that limestone. This is rock above our head. This is limestone. This is a mineral. Big difference in a rock and a mineral. So limestone, when that water makes its way through the limestone, through those crevices and cracks, it's breaking down that limestone because that water is a little bit acidic. And when it breaks down that limestone, it deposits the calcite crystal in the cave. And that's how you get this beautiful formation. Calcite crystal is barely harder than your fingernail. That's why it's translucent. That's why the light passes through it. It is a 6-sided crystal, so some of it will shine back at you, some of it won't. It just depends on how that water deposited that calcite crystal. But it's 3 times heavier than water. It's really, really heavy. And I'm going to pass this around so y'all can take your temptations out on that and not the cave, right? Whatever your formation feels like. And when y'all get that in the back, just set it behind you. Miss Alice will get that when we move along. So I'm going to go over the formations. Okay. And this is just so you know what we're talking about as we get through today. Don't be shy. If you know the answer, shout it out. Like I said earlier, we're going to be family by the end of this tour. So what are the formations that grow from the ceiling right up here? Here is stalactites. C for ceiling, they hang tight to the ceiling. So this would be a stalagmite. G for ground, it might reach the ceiling. But how about when they grow together?
Column.
Column, very good. Now here in the Ozark Mountains, why don't we call that a pillar? We sleep on that at night. Very good, yes sir. Now right over here, what are these formations? What do they look like? They do look like waterfall and curtains, yes. So they are has to flow over it to create it, but they're also called cave drapery, cave curtains, and sometimes even called cave bacon. You see where this piece kind of looks like cave bacon right there. Now, I said water has to flow over it to create this. The stalactites and stalagmites are from dripping water. Now, I want y'all to realize how massive these formations are and how massive this room is. So, let's compare that Yellowstone to a building we were all just in, that visitor center. That's a 2-story building. This is 55 feet tall. That's almost 5 stories right there. So that's 2 of the visitor centers stacked on top of each other. Right here. Does it look like it? No, it won't. And the reason why is because you don't have cars, you don't have trees, you don't have buildings. Anything your brain is used to seeing is not in this underground world, so you don't have anything to compare it to. So your brain and your eyes are going to play tricks on you the whole time and tell you everything's much smaller than what it really is. And you'll see that as we go through today. Mostly when we get down to the bottom of these big formations and we're looking up at them, you're going to see the size. See how big they are. All right, there's one more thing I want to do before we leave this spot. I want to test the echo. I like to test the echo because it's fun, but I also like to test it because that's how the early explorers knew how big these rooms were. Every light you see in the cave is man-made. There is no sunlight that enters this part of the cavern. So when they entered this room, everything was totally pitch dark black around them. All they had was a carbide lamp. That is an open flame with a mirror behind it. Okay, they could see about from me to that stalagmite right there. That's it. So they could shout out, and they knew this was a huge room because their echo traveled. So we're going to test that together. On 3, we're going to yell hello as loud as we can, but cut it off quick so y'all can hear that echo come back, okay? But yell it loud, don't leave me hanging. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hello!
Still going. Isn't that cool? I love it. We used to have Christmas caroling right here. It was absolutely beautiful. I mean, they just used acoustics of the cave. They used speakers, nothing, just their instruments and their voices. But we don't offer that anymore. All right, so does anybody got any questions before we move along? Anything you need to know?
Oh, how did they find this?
Now, the lower parts have been known about for over 1,000 years. Now, the reason why Houston Bryant's team come in to explore this cave is because they wanted to see if it would be a good fallout shelter. Because we were going through the Cold War at the time, so they were wondering if, we could survive a nuclear blast down here. We could survive the initial blast, but we couldn't survive the radiation. Because what did I tell y'all about the cave and the airlock? Yeah, it's breathing. So anywhere water's coming in, air's coming in with it. But Houston Bryant loved the cave so much, they kept coming back and exploring. And they were down in our lower levels, because that's where the natural entrance is, okay? Our lower levels, that natural entrance is pretty much a crevice in the valley, opens up about 15 feet wide, drops 90 feet into our cave. So the early explorers didn't have to rappel down to get into our cavern. That's another reason why I tell y'all this is one of the most pristine, beautiful caves you'll ever see, because people weren't coming in here and destroying stuff 200 plus years ago like a lot of other caves, okay? We were lucky that way. It was hard for them to get in. But they discovered this room in 1963. So what they did, they entered the discovery room. And when they entered the discovery room, they seen clay seeping out of the ceiling. That's unusual. Clay usually at the base of these rooms. So they said, there has to be something up above. So they sent their 2 youngest members, 17-year-olds at the time, 2 young boys, to climb that 100-foot clay wall. It took multiple tries because it's like climbing peanut butter when it's wet. That's why we call it peanut butter mud for a reason. If you ever get to go on a wild cave tour, you know exactly how sticky that mud is. But they popped their heads out right down here in 1963. And y'all, when they discovered this upper level, they said, wow, we've got to show this off to the world. So they took pictures, got them developed, showed the Forest Service, and said, yeah, we definitely got to show this off. They said it was the 8th wonder of the world at the time. I believe it still is to this day, and I hope y'all feel the same way after the tour. Now, the lower parts, that living room and that basement level have been known about for over 1,000 years because we found torches that dated back to over 1,000 years ago. The carbon dated back to over 1,000 years ago. But there was no evidence of any humans being up here. No torches, no footprints, nothing. So that we know of, 1963, those young boys were the first humans that ever set eye on this upper level of the cave. And we're going to see that passageway they came in right over here. There is a blue light. So when we make it down to that third curve, look off to your left, you're going to see that passageway. Blue lights in our cave indicate passageways that go into another room, okay? Not an exit, not an entrance, but a passageway. All right, y'all, we still got a lot to see, so let's go ahead and move on. If you have questions, please ask me along the way. I do not mind, okay? And if you struggle with these slopes, The outer curve is your friend. The outer curve on these slopes are your friend, okay? I'm right over here. How small are those 120 species below you? Think about that. And y'all follow me. I need you to look at that over lines down there. You can only find them in the over mountain. Not across the world. They're all in the over mountains. Be careful on this curve. I have pictures here all the time. Be Y'all keep walking, please. Everybody keep walking.
No, don't do that.
One of our most decorative. Anybody got any questions while we're at here? All right, so here in just a second, we're gonna go past all this funky stuff. This is cave popcorn, cave tour. Dolls, carrying 100 years. Those are old, okay? And if there really was any movement at all in that ceiling, then those were shattered to the floor. So this is what this is your earthquake. This is your now your storm shelter. The earthquake, the escalator during an earthquake is which is what does the damage is above your heads. Okay? It actually starts from the surface and goes into the ground about 90 feet to the surface. We're 220 feet below the surface right here. So you are safe down here, believe it or not. This is a natural storm shelter. And y'all be careful, this railing does kind of lean in down here, and that's just to keep you from that cave popcorn cave. You won't get a little touchy when you wear your clothes. That's not so sharp. Doesn't look like it, but it is. And has anybody got a picture on this? We go through this man-made tunnel right over here. What we did, we had to blast that tunnel out. Yes, we used dynamite to blast that tunnel out. But what we did is we built a shaft from the surface, a big hole in the ground, in the middle of that tunnel, 30, 41 feet down. All that vibration and debris went outside and out towards the cave. And then when they got about 10 feet from each room, they used hand tools and drills, so they knew.
Speaking of Bridget Ellen, well, we were talking to our son the last time we were here, he came with us. He lost his I know, and so I just always remember that when we come. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. Just start to look up and go, whoa. I know. That's you. There you go.
That's it. And the lights out. Did they ever tell you what these distinct layers are?
Yes. Limestone is the light color. The yellow is sulfur. The red is iron oxide. The dark is shale. Water can go through limestone, but not shale. So up here, when you made the tunnel, 1970, water went through here, and then gas made the calcite flowstone. So that is 53 years old.
Is this the bottom? Is that shale also?
This is limestone.
Limestone? Okay, so limestone, shale. Yeah. Okay. And sulfur. Yeah, we're waiting for other people yet.
And it's the same width all the way up, it just looks smaller at the top because your eyes are restricted.
And was that metal?
Yes, yeah, and they put that just so it would not erode, yeah. But we were 100 feet deeper than that earlier.
Interesting.
It is.
So that's all the poop there?
Yes, the guano pile.
Yes.
It's where the light is. And of course it has a lot of debris on top of it. Considering how small that is.
like a pilot. It's not that good. It's just like one
So you can see that there's the guano pile here and over here. And if you look up at the ceiling, you can see soda straws everywhere. But where the bats were, they're all broken away.
Y'all follow Miss Alice, I'll be right behind you. Yeah, that's 700. It depends, you know, it just depends on how you feel, you know, because it's a mile point 2 through the cave and 700 stair steps up and out. So it, you know.
And there is a pile of bat poop. And once again, you can see where there are
Yeah, it's a little more, but not a whole lot.
soda straws coming down, but over the bat poop, there are no soda straws.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you do.
The bats break all the soda straws off
With it being a mile point 2, if you're
over
back
thousands of years.
you've still got to take you that other half mile to get you back out.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Really hope you enjoyed it.
Almost everything.
So I'm assuming that there's soda straws everywhere, but over where the bats nested, they're all
Yes.
broken away.
No, they actually chose that spot because there's no water there. So there's probably
Okay.
more flint
Okay.
right there than limestone.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So they like the dry, rugged spots.
Okay. Yeah. It just kind of.
I'm not saying they don't ever knock any off.
Sure, sure.
But that spot, yeah, that's just because for some reason water's not coming through there.
Oh, okay.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah. Awesome tour.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah, we've done the Carlsbad now. We've done the Karchners now,
Okay, yeah,
and I guess we'll have to come back for the big tour.
yeah. Yeah, do the discovery tour.
Yeah. When does that open up?
So Memorial Day to Labor Day, so all
Okay.
summer. Yep. All
Okay.
summer long we'll have that over.
Everybody must
What are we gonna? Ooh, we
getting on a
got
bus.
roller coaster ride.
Right, that's what this thing is like.
Optimist.
Yeah, we come in at the top of the hill, and then there's this whole hill we're coming out of right now. The natural entrance, when we talk about the came in and the bats going out, it's actually in that valley right now. Like 100
And here we are coming out from the cave. And we actually are going in and out of there through a mine entrance. It was man-made, so it's a mine. Okay, that ends our tour of the Blanchard Springs Cavern. Very cool. Very nice people. Beautiful area. Beautiful Arkansas. Gotta say, we just love it. And we are gonna ride up in a Bluebird. And this is the cave where the divers exited from the cave.